welcome back to the Explainer. Okay, today we're basically grabbing our metaphorical survival gear because we are completely cracking the code of English language exams. If you're gearing up for a major test, well, you already know the stakes. It's not just about memorizing a bunch of vocabulary, right? It's really about understanding the hidden mechanics of the language and knowing exactly what those examiners are hunting for. So let's jump right into the source material and get this going. Have you ever just stared at a completely blank page during an English exam, feeling totally, utterly unsure of where to even begin? Yeah, we've all been there. It's that dreaded exam paralysis. The clock is ticking down, the lines on the paper are basically mocking you, and your brain suddenly decides to forget literally every word you've ever learned. But don't sweat it, because today's explainer is going to give you the ultimate structured toolkit to beat exactly that. We're taking the guesswork completely out of the equation. Here's our quick roadmap for today. We are breaking this whole exam thing down into 4 totally conquerable buckets. First, we'll master the passive voice. Second, we'll look at crafting the perfect composition. Third, cracking reading comprehension. And finally, applying your new skills in real time. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Mastering the Passive Voice. So we're diving right into the micro level first, the actual mechanics of sentence structure. Because honestly, if you don't have a rock-solid foundation here, the rest of your writing is kind of just going to fall apart. Let's look at this core definition straight from our source material. In the active voice, the subject of the verb is the person or thing actually doing the action. Simple enough, right? But in the passive voice, the action is done to the subject. And what's really fascinating here is that the passive voice isn't just some clunky, backwards way of speaking. It's actually incredibly common in fluent English, and it has these very specific, distinctive uses that examiners are absolutely testing you on. And this example brilliantly shows that shift in action. Look at the active sentence. Navin cooked the food. Navin is our subject. He's the one doing the work. Now check out the passive version. The food was cooked by Navin. Boom. Suddenly, the food becomes a subject. The action of cooking is being done to it. The subject and object completely swap places. And notice how the verb changes from cooked to was cooked? So that's a tense of the to-be verb paired with a past participle. Honestly, that right there is your fundamental mechanical formula. So why do we even bother using this? Well, it's all about strategy. Sometimes passive forms just occur naturally, without us even thinking about it, like when we say Rome was not built in a day. Other times, we use it when we want to express something a bit more impersonally, like in formal reports. It is believed that the president was in town. But the absolute key takeaway here is this. We use the passive voice when we want to focus on a happening that's simply more important than who actually caused it, like our roof was damaged in the storm. The focus is on the broken roof, right? Not the wind. Mastering this little trick means you can literally control exactly where your reader's attention goes. Moving right along to Section 2, Crafting the Perfect Composition. Now that we've locked down those sentence-level mechanics, let's zoom out a bit to the macro level. We're shifting our focus to how you can actually build that dreaded 300 to 350-word original composition. The real secret to a perfect composition? It's decoding what the examiners are secretly asking you to do. Look at how breaking down these question keywords forms our whole strategy. If the prompt says define, you have to give an accurate, precise description. Nothing more, nothing less. If it says outline, you just logically list the key points. But if it says discuss, well, now you need to consider different aspects, argue their validity, and really analyze things critically. And evaluate? That means putting forward your own opinion backed by strong arguments. Think about it. If you write this beautiful, flowing, descriptive story when the prompt secretly asked you to evaluate, you are going to lose points. You absolutely have to speak the examiner's language. Beyond those prompt keywords, our source lays out some totally non-negotiable precautions. First, answer all parts of the question. Don't just pick the half you like best. Ensure relevance too. Those memorized, shoehorned essays, yeah, they stick out like a sore thumb to graders. Make sure you hit that sweet spot of 300 to 350 words. And here's a huge tip straight from the text. Use simple English. Good style is simple. You want to avoid those super long, rambling sentences with a million confusing subordinate clauses. Oh, and write legibly. The text actually bluntly notes that poor handwriting is seen as a sign of laziness. So do yourself a favor and help the examiner easily read all your brilliant ideas. Okay, Section 3, Cracking Reading Comprehension. Let's shift gears once again. We've talked all about creating tests. Now let's talk about picking apart other people's texts using a foolproof comprehension strategy. Our source lays out this super actionable 4-step playbook to make sure you never miss a critical detail, even in the densest passage. Step 1. Read the passage quickly just to get a broad, general idea of the theme. Step 2.
Read it again, but slowly and carefully this time, noting the details and using context clues to guess unfamiliar words. Step 3. Now you read the actual questions and really make sure you understand their implications. And finally, step 4. Read the passage one more time, mentally mapping exactly where the information for each answer lives. Guys, do not just glance through and immediately start scribbling. The real magic happens in that mental mapping.
And trust me, you are going to need this strategy because these passages aren't always just dry, boring textbook excerpts. They are often gripping, high-stakes, real-world stories. Just look at this quote from a comprehension passage in our source text. It's about Dr. Walter Reed and the commission to discover the cause of yellow fever. With more than the courage and devotion of the soldier, he risked and lost his life. I mean, that is intense. The text goes into how scientists willingly let infected mosquitoes bite them just to prove where the disease came from. Your job in comprehension is to navigate all these intense details, but, and the source strictly advises this, keep to the facts given in the passage. Basically, don't go injecting your own outside knowledge about yellow fever. You have to answer strictly based on what is right in front of you.
And finally, Section 4, applying your new skills.
So we have our grammar rules, our composition blueprint, and our 4-step mapping strategy for reading comprehension. Now let's bring it all together and look at a real-world practice paper scenario from our sources. It's actually pretty fascinating how an exam might test your composition skills using a purely visual prompt like this one. What we have is an image of a man sitting next to these large brass statues right outside a shop. The practice paper asks you to write a short story or description based purely on what this picture suggests. This is where you pull from your new toolkit. You need a logical plan, you need to use simple, powerful English, and as the text specifically reminds us, there must be a clear connection between the picture and your composition. You can't just slap down a pre-memorized story, it has to organically tie back to what you're seeing here. Then, moving into the comprehension practice, you might run into a deeply character-driven text like this one here. He always stands there and has stood these 30 years in the back part of his shop, his tape woven about his neck. This specific passage is all about a tailor and his longtime customer. In the exam, you'll be asked not just what happened, but why the narrator felt a certain way. To answer that effectively, you've got to read slowly, understand the underlying tone, like the calm, unsullied intercourse that the text mentions, and then rephrase the answers clearly in your own words, all while maintaining the exact tense of the question. It's tricky, but totally doable. Finally, your grammar skills are going to be put to the ultimate test in sentence transformation exercises. Look at this prime example straight from the practice guidelines. You start with the sentence, "That kind of drama does not entertain me." And the instruction tells you to end your new sentence with the phrase, "any entertainment." So you have to completely manipulate the structure to say, "That kind of drama does not give me any entertainment." This is what tests your true mastery. It shows you know exactly how to shift a verb like entertain into a noun phrase like give me any entertainment, all without losing a drop of the original meaning. It's exactly the kind of linguistic gymnastics that examiners absolutely love to see. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From sentence-level grammar manipulation to structural blueprints for compositions, right through to that strategic 4-step mapping for reading comprehension. You now have the full survival guide, pulled straight from the source material. So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. With this structured toolkit officially in hand, are you ready to turn that blank, intimidating page of your next English exam into your ultimate masterpiece? Because honestly, I think you are. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy studying.